about the sketch writing process. What's different from writing by yourself? What is a writer's room? How does that work? How did you and Julia tag team through the Playwrights Project? Throwing that to, and Sarah, if you would talk for a little bit first, then Jules, talk about how you approach that writing.
Yeah. I think one thing you'll hear a lot from playwrights and novelists and how isolating writing can be. And which is why I know as a playwright, I'm so grateful for the work FST does in creating the Playwrights Collective and the Playwrights Project, and bringing us all together to work has been great. But with sketch writing and in improv, it's the same kind of thing. Is we have a term that's I got your back, and in a writer's room and on stage, the people that create this team always have your back. So the way a writer's room works is you come in, and people run them differently, but basically it's coming into one room with all of your ideas, pitching ideas, reading sketches. Maybe this idea works, but this idea doesn't work, but how do we, as a team, make this idea work better?
I'm very adamant about creating a writer's room that is a safe space. It is comfortable. It is open to where no one feels shut out or feels stupid or feels like they're not talented. With that being said, it was an amazing experience, and it was everyone is so talented, so funny. And it was nice to see people bring themselves, and that's what I also want to encourage.
You talk about funny stuff comes out of such strange places, right?
Yeah.
So I had a question come in that I think is fascinating. The danger of the lowest common denominator, right? Not everyone knows Monty Python. Not everyone has the same shared cultural reference library in their experience or their minds. How do you know what's funny? How do you make something funny to a diverse audience, right? Is there a danger of those, or what you just said, Jules, is it's more behavior or character driven than cultural reference driven? So satire, parody. Talk a little bit about how do you know when something's funny, and how do you avoid relying on lowest common denominator?
Well, from my experience, how do I know something's funny? Makes me laugh, right? So this is something that I teach my students all the time. I remind them that there are unwritten rules for what's not funny and what's not to be said, right? We don't make fun of races or genders. We're careful about that, right? We're careful about how we do things because we want to respect everyone. But if some people will find farts funny, some people will find intelligent humor funny, some people will find physical comedy funny, and those are all acceptable. Like you should be allowed to express yourself in a comedic way however you like. I think people often forget that we have to keep trying and trying and trying and then failing. Allow ourselves to fail. Be okay with failing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right now, and in the last few years, we're constantly being asked, whose story is it to tell? Mm-hmm. And and I think people have to ask, as writers, we have to ask ourselves, is it our right to tell this story? Mm-hmm. If I write a sketch that is about race, I'm not writing this on my own. I'm having my POC friends reading this. I'm collaborating with them on it. If I'm writing a sketch from an LGBTQ plus standpoint, I'm having my LGBTQ friends reading it. I'm never going to write something that's out of, basically I'm just always asking myself, is it my right to tell this story or to tell this joke? And always think about where you're alienating your audience at the same time too.